Welcome back, people, yet again to another. I still don't know what we're calling these things: music highlight, music showcase, spotlight, fantastico, spectacularis. I don't know. But I'm Zach Flash with Bright Light Music, and you know what we do is we always shine on the best in Christian music today. And my guest today is no exception because today we are with the lovely, the radiant, and always amazing. Did you catch what I did there?
I see
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
did there.
yeah. The former lawyer, current teacher, and future indie artist superstar, Toni LaShaun. How you doing, Toni?
I'm doing great, Zach. How are you?
It is great to have you. It is great to get to talk to you again. And full disclosure, people, Toni and I, we go way back. We did some hard time together back in 28. No, I'm just kidding. We did we, nothing that adventurous, I don't think. But Toni and I have hit the songwriting room together, and we've been at a few retreats and become great friends. And it's great to get to talk to you in this regard, Toni, because I am so excited about what you are doing with your music. But before we get into it, because I know you've got a huge release coming out, at the time of this recording, it's just 3 days away. This is the 3-day warning, all right? Jesus better go on and come back because he's got 3 days, right? 3 days before it drops. So before we dig into it, would you please tell some people that may not know you that well, would you just give us kind of an overview of your journey from lawyer to teacher to indie Christian music artist?
So, like Zach said, I'm Toni LaShaun. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. My whole entire life, I thought that I wanted to be an attorney. And so that is what my path was set on. But I've always had a passion for music and performing. I come from a family of singers, everybody except my mom. She will admit to that. I'm not throwing shade there. Um, and so have always been in like the youth choir, and my dad sings and my sister sings, my brother sings. So it's music has always been there. I some of my favorite songs are songs that came out like a couple of years before I was born. When I was a teenager is when I actually started writing music and poetry and getting into that, and that carried on through college and through law school. But I stayed on that track to becoming a lawyer. And about halfway through law school, I realized I did not want to be a lawyer and I needed to find something else to do with my life. But I'm always so grateful for the education that I got as a lawyer, because one thing I know about it is that it made me a better writer and it made me a better thinker. And so I'm able to kind of analyze things and break them down and say them in different ways. So it definitely wasn't a wasted time at all.
And I
I
hear there's not
actually,
an argument you can't win.
I don't know about that. Now that I'm a little bit older, I'm willing to just concede. I'm trying to keep the joy and the light in my life. I'm not trying to argue people down like I used to back in the day.
I'm sure that skill comes in handy with the clientele that you have now, right?
Oh, 100%. No, with the students, I absolutely can argue with them, and, in the most professional way. I argue with them, and I do almost always win. I actually teach them those skills. That's one of the classes that I teach is in critical thinking. And so they're learning how to make arguments and break them down. So sometimes I teach them a little bit too well, and they do make some good arguments towards me. But most of the time, I come out as the victor. So, like you mentioned, I moved into teaching. That definitely was a God thing because teaching was nowhere on my mind. One of my mentors, my drama teacher from high school, who's actually the person that I credit with helping me discover my voice. She is the person that got me into the education realm. And so now I've been teaching I just finished up my 19th year. I'm going into my 20th year full time in the classroom.
Now, how is
But
that possible? You're only 32 years old.
I know I started as a wee young babe. 47 and proud of it. I will tell people my age all the time. We were actually in the store the other day, and the guy that was bagging my groceries, I was with my mom, and he said, "How far apart are you?" And I said, "I'm sorry, what?" And he said, "Like, how far apart are you sisters in age?" And of course, my mom
Yes.
was like, "Oh, well," and I was like, "That's mom."
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
we're very proud to tell people our ages because, other than this gray streak you can see in the front, which I attribute to the children, um, you can't really tell how old I am.
That is a
Um,
beautiful thing. And you know what? You are an inspiration because not only are you tackling young people in the classroom, but you are tackling what many people would, I, I believe, sometimes unfairly call a young person's game, and that is being an independent artist.
yeah. Um, the transition there was not, I was actually telling this story the other day. I did not want to be on the recording side. I wanted to stay on the writing side. You know me and you've met me.
Hmm.
I am super introverted. Like when I get around my people and I'm very comfortable, that's, I'm fine, but I'm very introverted. And so I always thought like God called me to be in the background and be the writer and be behind the scenes. And so I was writing with artists, I was writing with producers, I was pitching music. I wasn't really intending on recording music. And my grandfather passed away in 2020. I went through like a serious grief, depression.
Mm.
'Cause right after he passed away is when the pandemic hit. And so like my world just kind of crumbled around me and I went through a lot with that. And in that time, as I was coming out of that darkness is when I wrote the song Strength to Soar.
Mm.
My intention was like with a bunch of songs I've written to pitch it and to like sing. I sing songs at my church. I'm the worship leader at my church. So I can sing original songs at my church. But when I sung that song at my church, there was a physical, tangible shift that you could feel.
Mm.
Like people were able to breathe again.
Wow.
And so I talked with my friend Jared, who produced the track for me, and I said, I think that more people need this song. And I don't think anybody's going to pick it up because I kind of wrote it for me. When you're writing, a lot of times
Hmm.
you're writing like towards an artist if you're going to be pitching it, or you're writing
Hmm.
towards a certain style if you're going to be pitching it. But that song was a healing song for me. So I had written it for me, and I was like, I don't think anybody else can record this besides me unless CC Winans, if you're listening, feel free, make it your own. It can be yours.
Yes, CC Winans, if you're listening, we need to talk,
You are
period.
listening.
Bright Light Radio at gmail.com. CC,
Amen.
hit me up, girl. All right.
Just putting that out there.
Oh man, I love it. You know what? I got to say there is a special place in my heart for really good soulful gospel singing, and listening to your Spotify songs, the songs that you have up on Spotify today, as I was getting ready for this interview. You've got it, girl, and I am so glad that you decided to take that step because uh, it's not just the song that gets delivered to people. The artist delivers that song. And that is not to say that you have to be the greatest singer in the world. That's not to say that you have to sound like, I don't know, Lemmy from Motorhead, if you're gonna deliver a song. No, the right song with the right artist delivered in the right spirit, God can really do some things with that. And it is a beautiful thing, because I've gotten the privilege of seeing you deliver some songs live, and it is a beautiful thing. So I think you're just doing awesome. I
Thank
really
you.
do.
I feel like I didn't know really where my place was. That was another thing that held me back
Mm-hmm.
from creating music as an artist. I didn't really know. I'd gone to a conference where I was basically told, you're not CCM. Um, and while I sing worship music at church, that's not generally what I write. I kind of write from my life experience and not in a in such a specific way that it only applies to me, but just the general overall lessons that I've learned and the scriptures that apply, the things that have helped me through. There's actually a verse of the day this morning in the Bible app was First Corinthians or Second Corinthians, first chapter, verses 3 and 4. Um, God, the Father of all comfort, comforts us so that we can comfort others.
Mm.
And so that's really how I look at it is these things that I've been through in my life, these experiences that I've had where God has walked me through the valley and through the shadows and through feeling like I was dying and all of that
Hmm.
and brought me out on the other side. It wasn't just for me, it was for me to share it. But because I didn't fit into a mold in the music industry, I felt like there wasn't really a place for me. So that held me back for a while. That and my fear of people and being in the spotlight. Like,
But you know
so
what?
yeah.
You are doing such a great job of overcoming that. And I got a feeling that this next release that you're about to drop in 3 days on June 20th, Lilies, let's talk about that, girl, because I feel like this is going to be another home run for you if it lives up to the hype that I've been told about it.
Lilies, oh gosh. So this actually, I always say when it's in the Bible twice, at least twice, that God really wants you to listen to it.
Mm.
So,
That's a good rule of thumb. Of course, if it's in the
so,
Bible once, he probably wants you to listen to it
well,
too.
yes, but like he really, really wants you to pay attention. If it's in there
Yes,
more than
yes.
once, like you really gotta really pay attention to it. And so there's a section in Matthew 6 that I'm sure most people who are people of faith believers have read over and over and over again in the Sermon on the Mount. And, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added
Hmm.
unto you. And the verses preceding that talks about worrying about where you're going to get your next meal and what clothes you're going to wear. And it's basically like everybody worries about these things, whether you're saved or whether you're not. What you need to be focused on is what you're doing for the kingdom of God and trusting who God is.
Mm.
But it wasn't until I read that verse in Luke chapter 12, same context,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, in Luke chapter 12, it just hit me different because the first part was like, which of you by worrying can add one moment to your life? And I was like,
Mm.
whoa, attacked. Okay.
I feel personally attacked.
I feel
Yeah.
personally attacked by this verse,
Yeah.
And then it goes on to say, consider the lilies of the field.
Mm.
All right. They're not working, they're not toiling, and yet I keep them dressed more beautifully than King Solomon. Like that just struck me. And I was like, in my translation, I was reading the New Living Translation, and it just said, look at the lilies. And I was like, that's what I need to remember. When I get into those places where I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Like, and I'm just all frightened and worried and frazzled and, whatever the situation is, like, I need to look at the lilies. And I
Mm.
don't have literal lilies to look at, but I can just look outside in nature and I can see like God is real.
Hmm.
God is taking care of his creation. God is taking care of me. He's shown me so many times, no matter what's going on around. And there's a lot of craziness going on around. And it's not to be taken lightly. This is not like, oh, I'm putting on rose-colored glasses and I'm just ignoring everything that's going on around me. I'm not ignoring everything that's going on around me, but instead of like focusing on what ifs, I'm focusing on the I am,
Mm.
right? I'm
Yes.
not
Yes.
focusing on, you know, what about what my doctor just said to me, or I'm not focusing on like the issues that I'm having with my job and do I need to switch jobs and blah, blah, blah. I need to focus on the one who created me and the one who has taken care of me since the beginning of time, since before I was even a thought to my parents.
Mm.
He has shown me over and over and over again just how faithful he is. And so that's what Lilies is about. It's no secret to anyone who's listened to any of my music or followed me in any capacity. I struggled with anxiety for most of my life.
Mm.
Was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder at 23. And so that has been a constant battle. And it's just been in the last few years with Jesus and therapy
Mm.
that I have gotten a hold of that situation. It's not that I'm not anxious anymore because everybody's anxious about things. It's
Mm-hmm.
a natural emotion. With the disorder, it's just that it's distorted and it's lasts longer and it's more intense.
Mm-hmm.
And so with therapy, I kind of learned some tools to handle that. This song is another one of those songs where I wrote in that journey
Mm.
of trying to figure out, I used to say I was struggling with my anxiety. Now I say I'm battling it. So in the transition from struggle to battle,
Yeah.
that's where Lilies was born. And it was written with my friend Zelda Hudson Biller. She
Yeah.
helped me kind of flesh it out, and she's great with melodies and lyrics, and
Mm-hmm.
we work really well together. And I'm just so excited for people to hear it, especially with everything that's going on in our world right now.
Yes. Yes. What a timely song to come out.
Whew.
If people
Yes.
don't have a reason to be anxious, just start watching the news.
Yeah.
Wow, you know what? Something you said will stick with me for a long time. You said from I struggle with it to I battle it. That's a very interesting phase shift to me. I never have thought of that before, and that's a very fascinating perspective. And I love that that's where this is written from because that just made this song 100 times more interesting and intriguing to me. And I hope that a lot of people will grab onto it. I hope that a lot of people will listen to it. You may not have lilies to look at, but where you're at, I know you can consider the palm trees. Where I'm at, I can consider the corn. Lots of corn. Lots of corn.
So much corn.
So much corn. But hey, listen, it's coming out on June 20th. Can you tell the people where they can find it?
It's going to be streaming everywhere. It's going to be
Yes.
on Spotify, on Pandora, on Amazon, on Apple Music, anywhere you can find music. My personal favorite, as I've become an indie artist, is Bandcamp
Okay.
because Bandcamp, you can purchase the song and then you can own it and download it and you can stream it whenever you want and you don't have to worry about ads and all that goodness. So you can do the same thing with Amazon Music or iTunes, but Bandcamp was kind of created for indie artists. And so I love using Bandcamp to reach even more people. My website is ToniLaShaunMusic.com.
Excellent. Yes.
And so all of the information about where you can find it and being able to click on it will be up there on the 20th. I will be staying up until midnight to make
Yes.
sure,
Yes.
because that's what indie artists do.
That is what we do. Yes, we do.
I will be up late into the night making sure that everybody everywhere knows where to find this song because
Yes.
I really, really want people to get this message. Um,
Now, you guys at Bandcamp, were you listening? Because you just got a very free plug on this show. All right, you just holler at Zach Flash, and we'll talk some more. Toni, I just that's awesome. So you mentioned ToniLaShaunMusic.com. Is there any other places where the people can find Toni LaShaun?
yes, I am on Instagram at Toni LaShaun Music, on Facebook at Toni LaShaun Christian Music, and if anybody uses Twitter X, because I refuse to just call it X. I'm on that
It is
as
kind of an
T.
awkward
LaShawn
name, right?
Music.
X.
It is. So I'm also on YouTube. My artist channel is Toni LaShaun, my name. And that's ToniLashaun, Toni LaShaun.
I love it. I love it. Toni, it is so great to talk to you. I'm so excited about this song. I'm so excited for you and what you're doing. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and chat a little bit. I am looking forward to the day that we get to see each other in person again real soon.
Yeah.
Man, as for the rest of y'all, you know who it is. I'm Zach Flash with Bright Light Music by way of Kingdom Chorus, shining on the best of Christian music today. We're not here to save the world, just your playlist. See y'all next time. Thanks.